All right, welcome to your final chapter, chapter 19. It's much shorter. We just have about 20 slides to get through. There's a couple things in your notes. Some global warming is inevitable. So this chapter talks about more of a reflection of the entire textbook and how you can be agents of change and hopefully have learned something from the semester. So some global warming is inevitable, but we can diminish the magnitude of warming, and we can also diminish the consequences of warming that occur through adaptation. Combinations of actions can slow warming, and we can also try to conserve biodiversity and increase the resilience of that biodiversity. One of your textbook authors, Norm, grew up near the city of Fresno. His childhood home was once surrounded by vineyards and orchards, has long been replaced by residential development. So, just showing how environment around us is changing due to human action. How can we reduce greenhouse emissions? We can increase energy conservation, more efficient transportation, greater reliance on renewable energy sources, and reforestation and conservation of existing forests. Sustainability requires adaptation. What steps can be taken to adapt to global warming? We can create conservation corridors which connect ecosystems. We can establish efficient irrigation systems, conserve and restore coastal wetlands, and globalize immunization programs to prevent warming-facilitated spread of infectious diseases. And while resources are becoming scarcer, we can accelerate transition to more efficient use and sustainable sources. We can ensure ample water for future generations with increased conservation, efficiency, and stewardship. And we can provide conservation and new technologies that can greatly diminish the demand for oil. Sustaining a renewable resource, the supply of water on land is limited by the rate at which rain falls, but a variety of strategies are available to ensure the efficiency with which we use this water and to ensure its quality. Sustainable response to the shrinking oil resource. Again, steps can be taken: fully electric vehicles, increased availability of convenient public transportation, the increased use of biofuels, and providing walkways and pathways for pedestrians and bicyclists. So again, this chapter is kind of a summary of what we've learned throughout the entire semester, and then just a reflection on what you can do on your part. You can be an agent of change. Less biodiversity, we can reverse the trends in global biodiversity loss by increasing protected areas, increasing the effectiveness of protective areas, and also accommodating the needs of people while meeting conservation goals, because we know extinction rates are increasing. We're losing habitats, we're fragmenting them, we're over-harvesting, there's pollution, there's climate change, but we can reverse these trends. Stemming the loss of species of forest, what can we do there? We can reforest. We can enforce international treaties to prevent logging. We can buy wood products that are certified that have come from sustainably managed forests. And we can encourage sustainable harvests of non-timber products. There will be more people, most likely from the developing countries. What can we do? We can limit the growth through education techniques, and we can also reduce our own ecological footprint by conserving, improving efficiency, and maintaining well-being. So here are some ways that we can influence this equation, the IPAD equation, if you remember, providing education, reducing our footprint, and adopting technologies that reduce resource use and environmental impacts. So what can you do specifically? You can continue to learn and improve your understanding of these issues, become a skeptic, learn more, translate your knowledge into understanding, and don't lose sight of what you know for certain, even though you are a skeptic. We have what we call systems thinking, so trying to conserve an individual species without the attention to its place in the food web. The biological community is an example of peace thinking. Successful conservation, however, depends on systems thinking that pays close attention to how these individual species interact with other important ecosystem elements. We can use the scientific method as a way of knowing. It provides a framework for clarifying what we know and then for identifying areas where our knowledge is incomplete. In the scientific method, as you know, it involves asking a question when you've identified a problem doing research, providing some sort of hypothesis or answer to the question, and then testing that hypothesis and deciding if your hypothesis is supported or rejected from the data that you've drawn. We can specifically probably reduce our shoe size, which is the ecological footprint. You can give what you can, volunteer, donate in environmental programs that matter to you, and then think and act for a sustainable future that your kids and grandkids can enjoy. What is your shoe size? So, in terms of ecological footprint, most of us in the US, definitely including myself, are probably the big foot in terms of how much water we use, energy use, waste disposal, transportation, and food. So, this is again a self reflection on what your shoe size is and then ways that you could make a change to impact the environment. Money and happiness. This is an interesting Gallup poll that was taken from 2014 to 2016, showing the happiness index and what the average individual income was of those people. So it just goes to show that the higher the income doesn't necessarily increase your happiness. So, how does this connect to the environment? Don't spend your money on things that you think will make you happy. Other things will make you happy besides spending money on non sustainable products that you have to throw away later. The poll also found that many people, their freedom of choice contributed greatly also to a person's sense of happiness. Small actions can make a big impact. We saw many examples throughout the textbook of ways that individual college students, people in general, were making impacts in their communities, and how those individual impacts, when added together, made a huge difference. You can be an agent of change by articulating a vision based on your values, but you can also cultivate diversity by asking other people how they feel, because human diversity, we're diverse, but we can use that because we have so many ideas that can come from it. There's multiple strategies to implement actions, multiple ways you can be an agent of change. These guys are showing green roofs on their campus at a college, showing how the green roofs can help with their biodiversity. Effective leaders encourage and listen to diverse points of view, so a reminder to keep your ears and eyes open to other people's ideas as well. Focus on your outcomes, be humble and adaptable, and then be confident, committed, and hopeful that we can sustainably use the environment while making its resources useful for future generations. Measures of success: leaders are willing to take action, but also constantly monitor the outcomes of those actions to ensure success. Your textbook authors just wanted to thank each of you for your contribution to make a difference in the world. And we'll end with one final agent of change. These guys were graduates from the University of California, and they developed a sustainable 3D printing system that would convert plastic waste into 3D printed material. Thanks, and that's the end of this chapter.